Are you in search of your perfect cup of coffee at home? Do you crave a fresh cup of joe from the comfort of your own kitchen? Well, look no further, because Black Sun Coffee is here to help. The medium roast from Black Sun Coffee features notes of Brazil nut, grapefruit, and oak. The freshness is guaranteed to start your day off right. Go to blacksuncoffee.com, that's BLVCK, and use the promo code Confidence20 for 20% off your next purchase.
The Confidence Factor. The Confidence Factor.
I really love today's episode. It's not every day that you get to sit down and talk to someone you've known their entire life. When I tell you, I am so proud of today's guest. And it hasn't always been easy for her. And like most of us, she hasn't always gone down the right paths, but she has learned some very valuable lessons at a much earlier age than I did. Understanding the energy you bring with you into spaces is critical, and having the confidence to own the power of that energy and use it appropriately, in my opinion, isn't common. We both joked that we were going to go home and cry after our conversation was over. I don't know if she did, but I cried for real. Let's listen.
The Confidence Factor.
Born and raised in Akron, Ohio, today's guest is somewhat of a modern-day Renaissance woman. She can sing, and I mean sing. She could do hair. She could do makeup. She can write. She can edit a vlog, and she could cook you a good meal. If you've listened to even one episode of this podcast, then you've already been introduced to just a few of her talents, as she is the words and the voice behind the Confidence Factor theme song. She is the artistic director of the Youth Excellence Performing Arts Workshop, more commonly known as YPAW, a ministry-based performing arts movement. Her bio says her love for YPAW started at a very early age when she attended YPAW during the week, but I would say that her love for YPAW started in her mother's womb. But she started serving on the team at 17 years old and has no intention of ever departing her heart from this ministry. She even met her husband thanks to YPAW. I am super duper excited about today's guest because I have known her for her entire life. And I mean the whole thing. And I'm very excited to hear what she's going to share with us today. So please welcome Mrs. Kimberly Gayle Porter to the Confidence Factor. Woo! So welcome.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here. I mean, the bio, wow. Oh my gosh, so accurate, like from start to finish. So I'm excited.
Yay. So like I said in my bio, I've known you.
Yep.
From the very beginning of your life.
Very beginning. The whole thing. I don't remember meeting you.
You just showed up.
Yep. I was just there.
Very, very cute baby. I remember that. But I have literally watched you grow up. And I mean, we're only like 10 years apart. Like 10 years, like 84, 94, beginning and end of the year, but still. Wow. But like literally have gotten to watch you grow up and watch you come into your own. And it's been fun to watch. I'm not going to lie. So it's been very fun to watch. So obviously, you know what this podcast is about because you put my idea, a graphic I gave you, into words, which the perfect words, actually. So knowing that, how do you define confidence?
Very good question. I would have to say I thought about this as we were writing the song. So I'm a steal a definition that I heard a while ago, which I thought was perfect. It's how I feel, but I'll probably try to put my own spin on it. So I heard somebody say, I learned that what I like that's cool ended up being cool to other people. So it wasn't really that I'm following other trends or like following what's in. It was like what I think is cool just happened to be what other people thought was cool too. Mm-hmm. So I would have to kind of put my spin on that and say that about confidence. Like how I feel about myself, other people just somehow started feeling the same way about me. And it was actually, my mom always says it took a long time for me to love me. Mm-hmm. And that's such an accurate statement for me because it took a long time. Like, obviously, you watched me grow up my entire life. So I'm sure you saw the 13-year-old Kim who wasn't as sure about myself to now this seemingly like, oh, she got it going on type of person, which is partially true, but not totally true. I started to fall in love with who that was outside of our church, outside of what everybody else thought, outside of what everybody tried to tell me I was. It was once I found my voice, it was like, oh yeah, I'm okay with telling people like my mom no, which was hard, but it was like, nah, I'm actually, or even pushing back and asking questions like, does the Bible really say that? Or is that just what you wanted to say? That type of stuff. Finding my voice, I would say, went parallel with me finding out who I was. Once I got to college, once I started doing things that other people didn't have written for me already. You know how people in our families and our churches, they write your life out for you. And they tell you what you should be doing, what you should study, the places you should go, the places you shouldn't go, people you shouldn't talk to. And once I started figuring out what that was, it was like, I feel like I've hit a confident patch. I feel like the things that I think are cool, I think are cool. The things that I think are great, I think are great, whether people agree with that or not. It was like, oh, Kim, you might really be in love with who you are, no matter what other people say. So long answer short. Longer. I think confidence is when you okay with doing whatever you want to do, regardless of what other people think.
It's so funny because, I've talked to Alicia. I've talked to Shayla. And so, and both, and even like thinking about my own journey, similar things were said, especially when you grow up in the Akron bubble, especially when you grow up in the ACLG bubble, figuring out who you are without all the voices, without the audience, like finding your voice and then being able to listen to your voice. And it's like, what do I like? And how would I react? And how do I feel about this? It's more than a notion. To be able to do that. And the fact that you've been able to do that at a much younger age than we were able to do that, you are already ahead. And it's so funny because I remember it would have been your senior year in high school when I was your TA for Yeepaw 365. And I know you wanted to strangle me the whole year, but I'm sitting here like, I see it. She doesn't see it. I see it. I don't know how I can make her see it. I'm like, but like, there's something there and she won't tap it yet. But like, she's going to, and it's going to happen. And it's like, Leah, you just got to back off. Like she's 17, just back off. She's going to get there. But I was just like, the whole year I'm like, she doesn't see what I see. She can't see it. But I feel like it's like starting to become realized. And I'm like, this is who I saw. Like, this is who I knew was in there.
That's amazing. Oh my God. First of all, I wanted to kill all of y'all.
I know.
That was because I thought I knew more. And I would honestly say I've learned younger because I watched y'all. You guys figure it out when you did. It was like, oh no, there's a code that needs to be cracked there. They figured it out. So now I got to figure it out. I probably was just thirsty and wanted to learn it earlier than y'all. Or just because I aspired to be like you guys. It was like, oh no. They're, traveling and doing things that my parents were like, no, you just need to stay in this bubble. That is so crazy. That was forever ago. And that was probably right in the thick of me learning who I was. So that's really, really cool that you would say that.
And also back then, I'd have to say this. I'm just like, she likes Josh.
You and everybody else knew before I even knew. Who did I think I was fooling?
Every Monday.
I could just tell y'all, oh, it's just my friend.
Because there was conflict in our little group over Josh, and it had nothing to do with you. I remember you were like, what is the problem? Like, it's Josh. And I'm sitting here watching the dynamic every Monday, and I'm like, she knows what it is. She just won't say it.
I'm talking about he's just my friend. Girl.
Okay.
That is so funny. We really think we could just pull the wool over your eyes. Well, y'all knew the whole time.
people know a lot of things that we think we're fooling people, and it's like, we're not. So, see, tangent. I knew I was going. I can't help it. I couldn't help it. So, seeing how you have this definition of confidence and knowing, because I talk about, like, confidence is not like this, you get to this place and it's like, I'm confident now, and that's the end of it. It's definitely a journey. And so what was your journey that got you to that place? You talked about it a little bit, but kind of dig a little deeper, and what were some of what was the experience, I guess, that got you to this place of confidence?
Okay, good question. And I don't think I've ever been able to totally answer this other than just like with my girls or something. My journey was that I was a church kid in the midst of a bunch of unchurched kids. So a lot of my friends were in single parent homes. To be very candid, a lot of my friends had dads who were either in jail, either dead, or drug dealers. So they were just totally different than my upbringing. I was raised in a 2-parent household, but my dad was like your American dad. So he worked 24/7 is what it felt like, but he was always providing, and like he worked for what we had. So my life was just totally different than the group of friends that I grew up with. They were just very different. Like, Kaylee and I were very close because our parents were close, but most of our school friends were just very different. And that seemed to be the trend or the circumstance from like really very early on, all throughout high school, maybe right before college. I started finding friends who were a little bit more like me. But I just was raised very different than everybody. And I was the girl who always wanted to fit in. I wanted to fit in. I wanted people to like me. I wanted people to want to be around me. I wanted to be liked by all the boys. I wanted to be like the it girl, whoever that is. And, now in 2021, she's defined as anything. But at the time, she had a very stereotypical, very clean cut definition of who the it girl was. And I wanted to be who that girl was. She for dang sure wasn't plus size. She didn't have short hair like me. She didn't have 2 parents in her household. Like the it girl just was something totally different than what I was going to aspire to be, or even who I was naturally. The short, light skin, long hair was not going to be me. I don't care how long I prayed about it, how many times I did anything to my body. It didn't matter. I was never going to be short. I was never going to be light skinned. That just wasn't going to happen. Not naturally anyway. So my journey to confidence was a very bumpy road, like trying to get girls to want to be my friend, trying to fit in like them. My mom wasn't buying the fancy clothes. She wasn't spending over $100 on nothing. She wasn't, none of that stuff. I wasn't going to get my hair done every week. We had aunties that was doing our hair. Like, we went to a Christian school. We was always at the church. Like, I just lived a seemingly corny life. Now that I'm an adult, it's like, girl, you was blessed. But now it's like, I was trying so hard to fit everybody else's standard of beauty, everybody else's standard of cool or hip or fun or whatever. So I was always trying to get into stuff that was very opposite of the church. So I was trying to smoke, I was trying to drink, I was trying to be with all the guys because that was cool at the time. It was like, that's what we're supposed to be doing, because I really wanted them to be my friend. And I realized, obviously later, that I was kind of washing away who I really was, trying to be like them. So it's kind of similar to most girl stories, but mine was like pretty intense because I was going pretty hard to try to be like them all throughout middle school, all throughout high school. And then once I got to college, it was like, man, if you don't like it, you just don't like it. Once I started to see how much I was chipping away at who I was becoming naturally or who the Lord wanted me to be, it was like, man, I'm losing myself trying to chase after what y'all want. And then I realized once I finally became who I was, it was weird how many people started to gravitate towards me, or people who wanted to just be around just natural Kim, like the girl who just wants to lay up with people, watch movies, eat something good, laugh, hang out, like just who I was at the core, people started to fall in love with. And so it was crazy just to see, once I found out who I was and I started to love her, how many other people was like, yeah, we loved her this whole time. We ain't really fooled with the girl that was trying to pretend to be everybody else. I saw how many friends I was losing. It was a very bumpy road. I bumped my head a million times trying to be somebody that I was never created to be. So
that's good. And it actually is the perfect segue to the next question I have for you. How would you have described yourself before you fell in love with yourself? And that's what we'll call it, because I feel like that's what it is. And then how would you describe yourself now?
Okay. How would I describe myself before, and how would I describe myself now? Can I start with now?
Yeah.
Okay. I would say I still struggle now, but how I handle my struggle now is totally different than how I would have handled before. So I struggled with daddy issues as a kid. I didn't really get a whole lot of validation as far as what I looked like when I was younger from my dad, because he was working a lot. So he was never really around much. So I didn't really get the validation from guys or father figures or my own dad, truthfully. And I don't think I realized that until right now, that I watched my mom struggle with her own weight. So I watched my mom work her butt off in the gym, you know, joining all of these different classes, eating right. And I watched her war with her own weight, that it was kind of hard for me to even see an example of my mother thinks she's beautiful, or my mother thinks she, you know, my mom is confident in who she is. I didn't really get a lot of that watching her, because I always watched her care enough about herself that she was trying to change what she looked like naturally. So I would say that I probably had developed, well, who I am naturally and probably even genetically is not the standard of beauty. So I'm going to have to work harder than the next person to be pretty, to be beautiful, to be accepted by other people. On top of my dad not really having the time or thinking it was necessary to say that who I was as a little girl with no enhancements, no anything, that my daughter is beautiful. Not really hearing that, not even to fault them. It just wasn't a part of our language in my household, that we were telling each other, you know, you're beautiful, you're amazing, that sort of thing. And of course, I didn't really get it from my friends, because they didn't even really know who I was, because I was too busy pretending. So I didn't really get the validation or even the security then growing up that, like, Kim, you're okay with who you are right now, completely raw with no, you know, anything. Who you are at your core is enough. I didn't really get that growing up from too many of anybody. And then once me and Alicia got close, once I started to have other mentors in my life, it was like watching you guys love yourselves to what I knew at my age. I didn't know it all. I'm sure y'all was probably dealing with stuff too. But watching you guys from my standard and my lens love yourselves, it was like, oh, okay, well, I just want that, because I always thought you guys could do no wrong. You guys were amazing. Y'all were like these sheroes that just are incredible people who can do anything. They're like invincible. So it was like, well, if they figured it out and if they are doing these said things, then I just need to do that. You know, simple-minded and childlike processing. But who I was before, I couldn't handle much. Like some of the smallest things would destroy me, like take me out. And I would wrestle with that thing for a long time. I would struggle so hard. I mean, like simple things like somebody not liking your picture on Instagram. That thing would bother me for weeks. Now it's like, obviously I don't care that much, but now I'm even starting to unpack some of my roots and some of like, why is it that when my husband leaves the room, am I starting to get emotional? Like, where are you going? What are you doing? Why are you leaving right now? Well, when are you going to be back? What is that connected to? Like, what is that rooted in? And why am I not sure enough in myself that my husband can leave and go to work and I'm okay? Or even with some of my adult friendships, because those are very different than high school relationships. So some of my adult friendships, it's like, why am I concerned if it's been a month and I haven't talked to Gabe? Or she hasn't FaceTimed me? Or maybe she's upset with me because of what I did last summer. Like, why is my mind doing that? I'm a little deeper of a thinker, but I'm also trying to do my own introspective work and my own like unpacking to see like, okay, what role did I play in this? And how can I do better? How can I approach this conversation? Or how can I have ugly conversations? Because when I was younger, I didn't do confrontation well. I was shut down. I didn't really know how to communicate because I didn't see that and I didn't really get taught that much. So I just didn't do anything that a woman who is sure enough of herself would do. I didn't take those necessary actions when I was younger. And now I just feel like through enough of bumping my head, I feel like now I've learned the benefits of being confident enough in myself, in my profession, in my friendships, in my marriage, just in anything. It's like, well, if I don't know who I am, somebody's going to tell me who that is, and I'll just fall for it and believe them and then just go that way. It's like, no, when I step in a room, who do I want them to know I am before I even open my mouth? Who do I want that to be? And even not even wanting my husband to try to tell me who I was or looking for validation in him that I didn't have in myself. So it's like who I was before was just very, what is the word I want to use? I just was very insecure. I was very unsure. I just wasn't stable at all because I was looking for everybody else around me and beyond to tell me who I was, to tell me how to respond, to tell me what was good, what was not good, like to decide for me. And now I feel like I'm a little more open to be educated, but I also am pretty confident that my answer right away is probably how I feel. And I'm not as afraid as I would have been to either disagree with somebody and say, no, this is what I think, or no, this is how I feel, or no, I don't want to do that. So I feel like I've gained a sense of security now that I feel like I'm learning. So I don't have it all together. I'm learning, but I'm also able to use my voice, which I keep coming to. My confidence and my voice seem to be parallel today. So
we'll hold on to that because that'll be one of the next questions. But it sounds like you trust yourself.
Yes. Very good way to say that. I'm learning to trust me. Yes.
And it's interesting, a couple of things you mentioned. Number one, like making those connections and finding those root causes of things is when you do that, it's so powerful. Because it's so funny, as extroverted as I am, I spend a lot of time in my head. Because when I encounter situations, I'm like, how did I get here? What's the root cause? Where did this begin? What's my role in it? And and that has helped me so much. And I mean, my mom being who she is has also helped me too. But when I don't have her, that, and honestly, that is work that I started to do when I moved away. When those years I spent in New York were powerful. But that's when I started always processing what happened. And again, that root cause is powerful work. And it almost helps situations not be situations when you know your root causes of things. Because then sometimes it's like, I know to just not even put myself there because I know this is probably going to be the outcome if you put yourself there. So that it's powerful stuff. But I want to talk about the necessity and the power of relationships. Specifically when you talked about the friends that you were attempting to have and the people that you wanted to have like you. And then now, because it seems like you found your people. And so how has that shaped you?
So people are everything to me. Family, I'm okay. I'm going to go a little all over the place. I am a very much so family-oriented person, but I'm not a traditionally family-oriented person, if that makes any sense. So a lot of my blood family, I don't have relationships with. I don't really know a lot of my mom's side or my dad's side. I know some of them, know of them, but I don't have close relationships. I could call up any of them right now. I didn't really grow up with a whole bunch of my biological cousins and family and all that stuff. I knew of them, but I didn't have close relationships. So from that void, I filled it with my friends that I got close to, and they became my family. So by family oriented, I really am speaking about them. They mean the world to me. I am definitely on my lady time, so I pray that I don't cry at any point between start and finish. But they mean the world to me. Those are the people that I wrestle with. They are my number one fans, as I am them. They are always in my corner for everything. They're my sounding board. They just have become my family. I don't really care what y'all got going on in y'all world. Y'all stuck with me for life. I have also become the person that is very, when I latch on quick. And I've learned that I've become that from college on. When I decide that I love you, I love you. And I love everybody. on the surface, of course, that's what we're supposed to do as believers. But when I decide that we are in relationship, and we decide this mutually, we locked in. And that's just how I feel with my people. And they have become such an important role, even in my confidence, for real, because they will see things in me that I try to silence. That's like, I don't want to make a big deal about me singing for real. And it's like, Kim, come on now. Like, you have to own the gifts that you have. Or like, I don't want to make a big deal about my position in EPA. And it's like, stop. Like, just silencing some of the negative things that I'll give too much wind to or too much entertainment to. And it'll be like, well, you have to stop speaking that way about yourself, just the way that they talk to me and I talk to them. So my friends have become my family for sure. And those relationships have pulled some of the craziest levels of confidence out of me, like them seeing things and fanning certain flames in me that I don't think I would have ever done if I didn't have that community, is the word that I really enjoy using. If I didn't have that, like people that I can call and say like, am I crazy? Or even people that I trust to be able to correct me. Like, Kim, you think you popping, but you're not. So let's just, like, I've had full, hard, tough conversations, slamming the door, and then we have to revisit, and then come back, and then we yell at each other, a few cuss words slide out, and then it's like, okay, let's revisit, let's come back. Like those, Josh says, like, some of our best friends, we're in marriages with them.
Yes.
Take that how you will, but we're in covenant with them.
Yes.
Like, I don't care how hard we argue, fuss, fight, yell, cuss, scream. You stuck with me. So you go take your 15 minutes or your 2 weeks sometimes, if that's what you need to relax and come back. And then as adults, we have to unpack now. Okay, let's revisit this situation and let's see where I hurt you, where you hurt me. Being able to have the safe space where I can voice my concerns and voice, I didn't like that you did that. I didn't like that you said that in front of that person. Or me even not being able to manipulate or passive aggressively use my sensitivity as, you can't hold me accountable or you can't tell me the truth. That's not fair. Like, just because you're going to cry don't mean anything. You're going to sit here and cry and hear this truth. So my relationships have become everything to me. They've become just like the wind beneath my wings, and also like the solid stability that I need, and like needing confidence to get through all the new things that I want to do or adventures that I try or any of that, but also being that sounding board that's telling me when I'm out here doing things great and when like it's not so great. Did I answer the question?
You did.
Okay.
You definitely did.
I was on tangents too. So
nope, you answered it.
Okay.
So keeping in mind everything that we've talked about in these last few minutes.
Okay.
What do you feel is your confidence factor?
Man, that's a tough one. What is my confidence factor? Like a huge factor in me being confident?
Or, so when Kim enters the room, what is that? And I keep using this phrase. Alicia used it and I loved it, so I keep using it. What is the special sauce that you have that somebody else might have it, but they don't have it the way that you have it? So what is that thing that shows up in the room when Kim enters the room?
Okay, I can answer this. What is the thing? What's the special sauce that I have? This is a vulnerable moment because clearly I struggle with speaking of myself. So
this is one of my favorite questions for precisely this reason. It's like, we're going to own it today.
Okay, what's the thing that because it's weird. Me and Josh were just talking about this in the car. For whatever reason, I can go anywhere and people will stare at me. I don't know what it is. I don't know what I have. I don't know what it is about me. And it's so weird that I'm saying it this way because I don't like talking about myself. But I don't know. I will find people always staring at me. And sometimes it gets a little annoying. Like, what do you want? And they won't say anything. It's just I do have something about me that people gravitate towards. Where they want to hug me, they want to tell me their life story, they want to dump everything on me because for whatever reason they feel like I can fix it, or I don't know what it is. I do feel like I have some sort of magnet. It's weird, but I do feel like when I walk in a room, to some people, most people, I become a magnet of some kind. Either you stare at me, you approach me, you come hug me, you ask me my name, you tell me my hair is cute, you tell me my makeup is cute, you like my outfit, something. It always becomes a conversation piece. Or I saw you sing somewhere, or you Leslie's daughter, or don't you run people? Like, it's always something about my life or something that becomes a magnet of some sort. And I feel like I do need to own that, because I'll ignore it sometimes and I won't allow it to hold me accountable. So I can't just go anywhere looking any type of way, doing any type of thing, because I do have a standard to uphold, that I am a very small public figure, but I am somebody that in my small circle people look to. So although sometimes it's irritating to have to be the bigger person, I say I'm big enough, I don't want to be the bigger person. To have to be the bigger person sometimes, when I walk in a room, I can become a magnet of some sort, whether that's with your eyes or your physical being. Mm-hmm. I don't know, because I don't even if I'm not totally dressed up, or if I'm looking bummy, or if it's just not a good day, somehow I become like an open target for people to come to, which can be good or bad. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if that's the solid answer that I want to get. I'm sure I'm going to get off of here and be mad, like, no, I should have said something else, but I'll go with that for now.
No, you have an energy. You have an energy. You have a presence. Like, you have presence. Mm-hmm.
Those are way better words than I use. An energy and a presence. Yes. Do. That's what I would go with.
Mm-hmm. You do. Way better words. Well, that's because I'm listening. And so you're saying it and I'm listening, and I'm like, oh, I have a word for that. And I've experienced you.
Okay.
And so I can define it. I can help maybe give definition to it, because I've experienced it, or I've seen it for myself. So, keeping that in mind, we're going to own it some more. Yeah. I love this part. Can you think, because a lot of people do, they're like, oh, and I'm like, not today. This is a confidence factor. We're going to own our things. So a lot of people, like, I'm like, own it. So, can you think of a time where that was on full display, which, I mean, it's all the time, but where you really felt like, ooh, yes, like me, energy, presence?
Yes. Okay, we're owning it. Mm-hmm. That's what we're doing. It's the strangest thing, because contrary to popular belief, I am an introvert with extroverted tendencies. I get very shy around most people. When I'm around my people, though, I can go crazy. I can just, let it all hang out. But I am an introvert, and it's weird that most of my profession, if not everything that I do for a living, requires people. Mm-hmm. Hair, ministry, it doesn't matter. Everything that I do pretty much requires people. And it's so strange that when I am on stage, at church, like letting it all hang out, singing, directing, teaching, music, anything that requires me to, like, I don't know, to captivate people's attention, or like when I have your attention and I am like responsible for what you're hearing, it's such an out of body experience, because I feel like I am owning this presence or this energy that for whatever reason I have. Like, you remember I'd have sang them solos at Arlington and would get to crying and be scared to be in front of everybody. And now I feel like that same almost horrible flaw about me has turned into this like superpower, because I feel like I watch myself on video or watch myself at church or in a live recording or anything on film. I watch myself back and be like, who is that? Like, where did that come from? It's such an out of body experience. So when people are like, man, Kim, you just really touched me, and be like, for real? Like, I just be so shocked, like proper English. I usually am just very shocked, like, wow, like you were touched by something. I did. You were amazed by something. I did. And it just, I feel like I own it. Like, I was in rehearsal last night and we were rehearsing this song that required me to just hit these notes that I don't normally hit. And I just felt like I was in that thing. Like, I was just, like, everything I had, when I get to the point where I'm leaving it all on the table, it's like, I feel like those athletes in the championship game. Like, I just feel like I'm in my zone. Like, I'm giving everything I worked hard for. And I feel like I'm paying a weird homage to my younger self, or like I'm paying her back for everything she lost or never got a chance to do, or was too afraid of doing, or listen to everybody else tell her what she couldn't do. It's like, man, take that. Like, I'm in this thing.
I love that.
So it's so, if I had to answer that, which is such a good question, because I never thought about that until right now. So I do have to own that, because when I'm in those moments, it's like a Kim moment, but it's totally a God thing. It's totally a like Holy Spirit moment. When that Holy Spirit take over, and it's just like, poof. I don't know how your audience feel about faith and stuff, but I was like, in that moment, it was like, man, I feel like I'm getting old and new in this moment. So
I'm glad you said that, though, because I was just going to say, and that's part of the reason why we have to own it, because it's like it was given to us.
Yes.
So we have to own it.
You're right.
We have
you
to.
You are right. Wow.
Okay, stay in that space, because I have one more question for you. Pick a number between 1 and 26.
4.
Okay. What would you tell 4-year-old Kimberly, knowing what you know now?
Dang. Okay. And this is crazy, because I feel like I was, again, in that same conversation with Josh, I was telling, like, I wish I could hug my younger self. I wish I could hug her. I wish I could hug her and her know who I was. Like, I wish I could hug her and us just have a moment with no words first. Before I got to saying anything. Because not knowing how much time I would have with her, I would just want to hug her and let some of our energy kind of spend some time together. Because 4-year-old Kim really was actually rather carefree. And she didn't even really know the trouble she was getting ready to embark upon. So she had no idea. She was very much so clueless. But it was like some of the beginning stages of like trying to become what everybody else was thinking and being afraid of hiding who she was, as always being unique. I have always been different than everybody else. Everybody's unique in their own way. But I have always been different than the crowd. I've always gone against the grain. I mean, literally my entire life, I have tried so hard to be like everybody else. And for whatever reason, I was always like the square inside of a circle, like always trying to fit in, and I never fit. So 4-year-old, I would have been getting ready to go into kindergarten and skip the grade. So even being in the first grade with all of these people who were in nothing like me, and I was nothing like them, and wanting them to like me, wanting them to care about me, and wanting them to be okay with who I was, knowing that who that was different. So if I could hug her, man, I just would want to spend a day with her so she could see me now. I would want to tell her, like, girl, you have no idea. Yeah, I'm going to cry. You have no idea who you're getting ready to be. And all the naysayers, like there are girls now who bullied me when I was a kid that follow me on Instagram. Like it's girls now who hated me when I was a kid, or who just didn't think I was worth nothing. Like they will message me and be like, girl, you killing it. Like you are doing amazing things. Even though I feel like the amazing things that I'm doing aren't even that amazing. I think they cool, but it's like, you know, it's other people out here killing it way harder than me. But I wish I could hug her, because it would be like, don't try to bypass the hardships that you're getting ready to go through, because they're going to make it all worthwhile. And I know that's a cliche, but like, don't try to skip past the hard parts, because they about to be hard, but everything about you is already equipped to go through it. Like everything about you, everything you have, every person that's around you, the mother that you have, good God, that woman is a legend to me. Everything about her, I wish I would have appreciated my mother way harder than I did when I was younger. And I'm sure most people feel that way. But I mean nothing. I wish I would have held on to the gem she was giving me when I was a kid that I'm holding on to tight now and like cherishing now because she's getting older. So I'm holding on to that stuff now, but I wish I would have cherished it when I was a kid so that I would know, like, girl, you about to go through a tough fight, but that fight is about to be so worth it because 26-year-old now married Kim, who never thought she was pretty enough to have a boyfriend like Josh. My husband is incredible. So, like, to have a husband who does all that he does and is all that he is, I never in a million years would have thought that I was good enough to have somebody like him. What? Absolutely not. Like, Josh was the pretty boy. He was the boy that everybody wanted to be around. He was the ladies' man. And somehow your old ladies' man having self ended up with me. Like, how? Just... the hardships were worth it, is what I would tell her, because they make what your life. My life is good. I have a good life. It's hard. It's not easy, but my life is great. I'm blessed. Like, I don't have to want for much of anything now. And the things that I thought I wanted then are totally different now. I wanted to get out of Akron so bad. I love Akron. It ain't that bad. I love it because now I care more about my family than I do being able to say I live in Atlanta. So, like, some of the things I would tell her, some of the things that you are obsessed with now, you probably won't care about later. You know, find out who you are, but all of the stuff that you're getting ready to go through doesn't even compare at even a fraction to the amount of life that I live now. Like, it's going to be okay, which is very much so cliche, but it is going to be okay. And you are going to see that the whole fight was worth it.
Kim, this was good. I'm over here like, do not start crying. I felt it. I'm like, just keep smiling while she's talking.
Girl, pulling them in.
I'll probably cry later when I reflect on this, and it's okay. But this was good, and this was some powerful stuff.
This was good, very good.
So, any final thoughts you want to share, or do you feel like you got it all out?
Any final thoughts I want to share? Man, thank you. Let me do that. I know that's probably not what you asked for, but I do want to say thank you. I don't think I've ever been able to publicly answer any questions like this before. People have asked me about confidence and self-esteem and stuff like that. But to be able to be vulnerable in this space is very refreshing. I'm sure I'll probably cry later too, because I always cry all the time. But I'm sure this moment will stay with me for a long time, even when I start to doubt myself later. So I do have to say thank you, because this was a moment that I'll probably never forget.
Oh, well, I'm glad I made you hopefully feel comfortable enough to share and be vulnerable, because I know that's not always an easy space to be in. So hopefully I made it a little bit easier to share.
You did.
Okay, good. Yay. So before I let you go, how can people find you? What's your social media? You know, I don't even think I scratched the surface of all the things that you do and could be working on when I did your bio. So this is a moment to share those things.
Yes, please. So I'm Kimberly Gayle on everything. Gayle. Kimberly, like regular traditional Kimberly, on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I'm on TikTok, but I don't really be making TikToks, but I'm Kimberly Gayle on there. I'm Kimberly Gayle on Snapchat. So Kimberly Gayle everywhere. I have 2 singles out on iTunes. There is Rescue Me. I recorded a long time ago, maybe 2 or 3 years ago. And then I just put out my wedding song. I remixed my wedding song that I was my sister sang Me Down the Aisle to that song. So that song is out. I have a YouTube channel. I'm Kimberly Gayle on YouTube. And a whole bunch of my life is on YouTube. I share, Josh and I are trying to have a baby. So TTC journeys are all on there. And then I am the artistic director for the Youth Excellence Performing Arts Workshop. So my shameless plug is that our annual workshop is coming up in July 12th through the 18th. If you go to our website, www.epaw.org, Yes, you can register if you want to be a part. We calling everybody back. It's been one heck of a year in 2020. So we coming back stronger and harder and way more exciting this year. We got so many incredible things planned. So if you head to our website, you can volunteer. You can register your 4 to 11-year-olds or your 12 to 21-year-olds. But I'm everywhere. So if you want to find me, Kimberly Gayle, that's all you got to look up.
All right, Kim, thank you very, very much for sharing and for taking the time just to talk to me for a couple of minutes. I greatly appreciate it. And thank you for the song.
You are welcome. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, everybody, for listening to The Confidence Factor. Be sure to check out my website at www.beshawesome or beshawesome.com. You can also check me out on Instagram at b.shawesome. As always, thank you to Golden Ox Studios for making this a reality week after week.